Welcome and thanks for joining us here again today. We are with the Sean O'Hara, who runs an amazing show, the Durable Entrepreneur Show. And if you haven't had a chance, make sure you follow a little bit of that because he's got some amazing stories from some of the entrepreneurs. So we'll get to that at the very, very end. But for now, let's go over the format here again really quick. So we have 7 topics we're going to talk to Sean about as his expert marketing experience gets into us. And each he gets 120 seconds to answer each one of these. And at the very end, you're going to get a call to action and a little bit about his business. So that way, if you want to connect with him, he'll give you all that at the end. All set and ready, Sean?
I am ready to go. Happy to be here, Billy.
I knew you would be. I knew you would be. You're ready. All right. So our first question is, thinking back through your entrepreneurial journey, what do you think your first win is? How would you categorize your first win?
Yeah, this is a great question. My first big win, I'm going to go back in time quite a ways here to actually the first business that I started, which was an advertising agency. And this is like in that stage where it is creating something from nothing or just an idea, obviously. So again, time stamping myself, I like literally opened up the yellow pages and started with the letter A and made calls each day, like in the afternoon. And just it took me all the way till I got to the letter R to get somebody who said, yeah, how about come in and we'll sit down and we'll talk about this a little bit. But obviously, that all of a sudden, when I did have that big win just from pure cold calling, I ended up, building something. And at that point, you go from idea to client. And now instead of just something that I'm chasing that I want to do, I'm actually doing the thing. So I think that was probably my first big win. And it ended up being a piece of print collateral. And I learned quite a bit in the process. Thankfully, they knew exactly where I was, so they were kind of tolerant of some of the things that I was doing, learning as I go. But it was a piece of print collateral for a new office building that was going up, actually, in St. Mary's County. And anyway, it ended up being a big success because they were a great client for me. But it also taught me, you know what? This seems overwhelming starting out with a phone book, but it was a major turning point for me.
Man, the letter R. That's crazy. That took you all the way to the letter R. That's pretty impressive. That's very. I mean, that's determined right there. That's for sure. Determined. All right. So our next one. So far as you, what would you explain or define as your best habit as far as entrepreneurial and marketing is concerned?
Okay. So I would say probably like best habit. This is a good question. I feel like always thinking ahead, right?
Oh,
And trying
good.
to strategize today for not like what's immediately in front of my face and be thinking about where I'm going like 2 months from now. So that if I'm
Mm,
launching a campaign, that I'm building it out well in advance so that one, I don't end up having the time pressure of getting something out last minute, because I find that, and this is something I've learned by doing things the wrong way, right? But I just
mhm.
generally have a habit of trying to stay ahead, and so that way I can really focus on the quality. It gives me more time in terms of testing things out, and gets me out of a reactive mode. So
Mhm.
strategizing first, thinking about the outcome that I'm trying to create. But I try to think 2 months ahead, generally speaking.
Okay. Wow. That's great. So when you get a project, do you like set goals and so forth for each project, or you do it quarterly, or you do it annually? How do you set up those goals and plan ahead effectively?
Right now, I'm setting up goals that are more in that quarterly time frame. I would say
Okay.
I feel like that's something that I feel like I can move the needle on. Where great to have a 1 year view, which is
Mhm.
strategic, but thinking more in a tactical mindset. I think that about 3 months is probably about as far as I can get ahead and do something that's going to make a difference.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know that you section this thing off and kind of chunk it. That's a good idea. So next, that parlays right perfectly into your systems. So now that you have your quarterly goals that you set, what kind of systems are you using or are you establishing to stay consistent?
Well, one of the things I feel like this is very relevant to where I am right now with just talking about my podcast, right?
Mhm.
So I am learning as I go. I've interviewed, more than 50 entrepreneurs at this point,
Wow.
but sort of in the phase of where I am in this product, my initial goal was really minimum viable product, right? And understanding what it is that I am bringing to the marketplace.
Mm,
So I've gotten to that stage, and in getting to that stage, I have literally done everything myself. And obviously podcast marketing is very social media intensive, very, very digital intensive. So a lot of what I'm doing right now is me intentionally doing it myself so that I can learn what works, what doesn't work, because then that's going to help me build systems that are going to be more effective. And even I feel like even when it comes to um, outsourcing, right? I mean, I feel like that
mm,
legitimately could be a system turning something over. But at the same time, I feel like for me to outsource something, I need to be confident in
yeah,
what
yeah.
my goals are, even just to help me communicate with somebody, right? So sorry about this answer, but I
No,
don't
it's good.
have a lot of systems in place right now
Yeah,
because
at the
I am
moment.
doing so much figuring out on my own.
So when you have an MVP, let's go step back because your MVP is your
Mhm.
minimal viable product.
Mhm.
How
Mhm.
do you decide that? How do you like this is the basics? Because everybody should know this. If you're listening to this, you're setting up a business. Your MVP is where you start. How do you set up your MVP?
Yeah, well, to me, a lot of it is get going and start figuring it out because you're going to learn a
Okay.
lot by doing it and doing it the wrong way and figuring out how to what doesn't work indicates maybe the change that you need to make in order to get it out there, right? So I feel like for me the biggest part is get going, start moving on it. I don't know, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, that's good. So you're building the ship as you're flying it in some cases.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's important to not pursue perfection first.
Gotcha. That's good. Excellent. So as you're doing this, the whole show yourself and all this work, how do you avoid burnout?
Yeah, it's interesting because I do feel like there's got to be something of a system here, and it's
Yep.
not actual like an automation type of system, but more of like a repeatable process.
Yes.
And I think that
Hmm.
this dovetails nicely with what we were just talking about, because I think what you have to do is you're going to learn as you go,
Hmm.
and that's continual, hopefully, right? But I feel like the first thing is to to do the thing, launch the campaign, and then be open to the campaign failing, right? Knowing that is a minimum, it may not work out exactly as you hoped, even though you are bringing your best shot. It's not just throw enough stuff against the wall, maybe something sticks. You're bringing your best shot, and you've really been thoughtful about what you're developing. But when you actually put it out into the world, that's when you're going to start getting data back. So in my mind, it's about think the way that you think about the process. So put it out there, evaluate the data that you are getting back, and then adapt based on that. But most importantly, don't become over attached to the outcome that you are hoping for or the outcome that you feel like 100% like I'm going to do this and I'm going to get this back. Know that
Hmm.
you're going to learn as you go. And by not internalizing that, I think that actually makes it um, easy to prevent being burned out.
Awesome. Yeah. So open mindedness. So right now with your podcast, what is your favorite strategy that you're using now to grow your podcast out?
Yeah. So right now, I would say that there's a couple things that I am doing. Is I am collaborating a lot with AI, and I
Okay.
feel like AI is a great business partner when you are not coming to it looking for the answers to the test, right? But that you're bouncing ideas off of,
That's
right?
good.
And so it helps me be much more robust in my thinking. And a lot of what I'm working on with that AI is related to social media marketing, right?
Okay.
And obviously digital marketing, Instagram, the social media outlets are where I can find a lot of people who are podcast audience, and I can,
Yeah.
being in the right channels, get more narrow in terms of connecting more efficiently with the right audience, being where they are. So, social media is really my focus right now, but
Okay.
collaborating with AI is something that I have honestly kind of reluctantly gone down that path, but I
Okay.
have found that it just saves me a ton of time. As we know, it's a double-edged sword,
Hmm.
but in terms of efficiency, it's made a huge difference
Helpful.
for me.
So, what are your favorite go-tos? Like, are you a Chat GPT guy? Or are you an Opus? What ones are
Yeah.
you finding the most success with?
Yeah, no, Chat GPT. I mean,
Yeah.
I there's probably some familiarity, like
Mhm.
that's whatever you're most comfortable with.
Yeah.
But for me, I've just found it to be most robust
Yeah.
feedback I get comes from Chat GPT. Really, it's just that's only my experience, and I've worked with some others, Gemini and Perplexity, but yeah, a lot of it's probably what you're used to. But I personally really like working with Chat GPT.
Chat GPT. So, before I move on to the next one, real quick, I see you do a lot of like clips and stuff. So you grab your podcast and you do clips. So
Mhm.
you're using Chat GPT in the sense is helping you make descriptions and things, or is it making like images and stuff for you? Like, what specifically is the best?
Yeah, so a lot of what I'm doing with ChatGPT is really bouncing ideas, trying to
Okay.
find highlights that are going to connect with my audience. And then from even a more of a mechanical perspective, I am using it not just to identify the clips and the content, but also to come up with the visuals that make the content more engaging, and also kind of really punch the key points home. And I'm really trying as well to be very, very succinct in this, and that's a challenge. But I have found that more than not, I would say more than 20 seconds of somebody consuming any of this content is
Yeah.
a huge
That's
win.
about it.
It's a huge win. So I try to actually keep my social media content down to, I would say, under 20 seconds, 15 seconds plus or minus now. And this is
Interesting.
something that I've been adapting over time, but but doing that using AI to help me like really dial that in just by through conversation, um, has helped me do that more efficiently. So
Nice.
timeout too, we're off on the timer, right?
Yeah. The timer flipped out. Did you see that?
Yeah, yeah. Does that matter?
No. I
Okay.
just reset it here. It goofed
Okay.
on me.
Well, I just didn't, I had no idea where I was on time on that.
We're good. We're good. All right, we'll start back up again. So piggybacking off of that, so ChatGPT and the marketing is helping a lot with the marketing with the AI. What strategy have you completely given up on? Like, I mean, maybe Yellow Pages. You started your story off with Yellow Pages, but what have you
Yeah.
completely like? I'm not using this anymore.
Yes, definitely not using the yellow pages anymore.
That's the
Um,
easy one.
but but also along a similar lines, and some people will probably hear this and think, "Yeah, that's obvious," and other people I feel like will totally disagree. But and perhaps it's a generational thing, but along the same lines, I'm somebody that for a long time felt like one of the most impactful things that I could do was very highly personalized follow-up along the lines of things like um, emails that were very tailored to a conversation, or even handwritten notes.
Mm,
And I know that a lot of people, and there's people who still believe, right,
yep.
that a handwritten note has a big impact. And I think maybe it does, but I also feel like it is generational. Like it's a little
Mhm.
offbeat in some cases, especially
Okay.
if you're trying to connect with somebody from a younger generation who only gets notes from their grandparents around the holidays, right? And so for me, it's not even that can't work. I feel like it can work, but I also feel like a very genuine, well thought out text message will accomplish the same thing if you want to
That's
have
good.
that personal connection. But there's also an efficiency. There's a time for that one-to-one, which used to be a big staple for me. But now you have the opportunity to reach people at a much bigger scale. And there are things that, like, as you and I know, there's a lot of people, podcasters that we feel like we don't know. Thousands of people feel like they know them personally, but they don't. Right. And so what's the more time efficient thing to do?
That's good. That's excellent advice. That's good. I like that one. I'm not gonna add anything to it. We're just gonna keep rolling. So as we finish up, we're gonna say, all right, what are some tips and some strategies you would give to entrepreneurs to help them build the confidence they need to be successful?
Yeah. And this is great because I have this conversation with a lot of people who come on
Mhm.
the show as a guest. And if anybody wants to know, you're a great guest and people should listen to that episode, by the way.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
but one of the things that I find out is that, that people generally, almost universally at some point struggle with some version of
Yes.
what you would call imposter syndrome, right?
Mhm.
They're in new water. They're thinking, well, the world perceives me as just whatever I do as a living. If I'm just an accountant or, whatever box they're in their professional life, and they want to expand and they want to grow, but they feel like, who am I to do this? Right.
Yeah.
And so you obviously, to get people's attention, you have to show up with confidence. And my feeling is ready, fire, aim, right? I mean,
Mhm.
just
Yep.
go out there and do the thing. Do the thing, repeat the thing, and get better as you do it. But give yourself a little grace and knowing that this is going to be uncomfortable. I am not going to get this perfect. There are things that I've been doing for decades professionally that I still don't get perfect every day, right? So don't set the expectation so high that you're um, going to disappoint yourself and deal with that mindset baggage, right? Expect it to be difficult, expect it to be uncomfortable. But I would also say one of the greatest things is to feel uncomfortable. Because if you
Yeah.
don't embrace feeling uncomfortable, you're treading water, you're staying in the same place. Get excited about being uncomfortable.
Yeah. As the phrase goes, if you keep doing the things you're doing, you're gonna keep getting the things you're getting. And so
Yes.
you can't get more unless you start doing more. You're absolutely right.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
all right. So the
Very
one
true.
big overall theme I think I've gotten from this is that you're giving my audience permission really to do it, to get their hands dirty, to try it, to make the mistakes, to get the reps in. And as they make the mistakes and as they get the reps in, to analyze what's going right, what's going wrong, and then keep
Yes.
making their systems about things that are going right and wrong as they go. But the permission to just go out there and do it without it being perfect. And I think that's the overall running theme here, I think, with you.
Yes, that is very true, and I guess in a big way, I've been really focused on mindset, and
Yeah.
some very fundamental things like you're talking about. Very great
All right.
recap.
So as per usual, the outro is going to be from Mr. Sean. Give us like your business pitch per se, and then the call to action because I really want the audience to know more about you and to be able to reach you and get more information, or even set up a meeting with you, and maybe even be on your podcast if they have a great story to tell. So take us out, Sean.
Excellent. Well, first of all, I do want to say thank you, Billy. I really am
Right.
honored by the opportunity to speak with you this morning. Um, as far as what I'm about right now, my big project is the Durable Entrepreneurs podcast. It is the first stage in a entrepreneur focused media company that I am working on. But the show is available on obviously Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, wherever you're going to be listening to podcasts. And the goal of the show is really to help early stage entrepreneurs navigate their first very difficult 5 years when, at least statistically, the majority of small businesses fail. At year 6, the odds statistically, again, skyrocket in the opportunity to achieve durable long-term success. So that is what I am all about, trying to help entrepreneurs get from day one to year 6 and then enjoy long-term durable success and live their dreams as an entrepreneur.
That's awesome, Sean. Thank you very much. Be sure you hop into his podcast where it's got all the information and that you can learn more, maybe even be a guest someday. And I appreciate your time today and all of your knowledge and expertise for the audience.
Yeah. And lastly, just to answer your question, if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can get me at
do it.
Sean, SEANO, at durableentrepreneurs.com.